Hello, everybody. We made it 1 year of quarantine of social distancing. This is actually pretty crazy because, in many ways, it feels longer, and in other ways, it feels much shorter. But yeah, 1 year later now, depending on where in the world you're watching, the anniversary may have been earlier. It may have been much later in the future. But for our region of Central Connecticut, March 14th was when everything shut down. And I figured that since a year has gone by, I would discuss this with you. Kind of go over how the past year has been. Now, very quickly, I originally intended this to not be a live stream. I was planning on recording a video. I wrote the script. I prepared a slideshow, and I never got around to filming it because this time of year is not very good for me. But that's not today's point. Today's point is that I still wanted to do this, even if it wasn't in the format that I originally intended. So let's go ahead. So I'm gonna start off by just going over very quickly on life before the shutdown. So on March 1st of 2020, my brother and I went to PAX East, which is a very big convention. We actually had planned this before there were concerns of the incoming pandemic, but by the time the event was taking place, a few major studios were pulling out of the event. And so we were sort of like, should we go? Should we not go? In the end, we decided to go because as of right then, the only cases were in New York City, so we kind of felt like Boston might be a safe place to go right now. Now, I know that was a bit foolish. There were a lot of people there and very, very few masks. But we went there, and that happened. 2 weeks later, March 12th, my mother and I, we decided that we were going to go shopping. I believe it was at Costco. We just needed to buy one bag of like instant brown rice because there's like this very specific flavor you can only get there. It wasn't something that we needed. We just figured we'd buy it because there was a recipe that we wanted to try out. And when we went to Costco, the lines were like literally out the building, and we were confused. Like, what is happening here? Why so much? But it didn't click on us that people were hoarding for the incoming shutdown. Now, prior to that, we were taking some preparations, not like super heavy preparation, but we were taking some preparation. We had a decent collection of cans and stuff. So when we went to that place and we saw all those people in the line, we were like, nope, there's no way we're gonna wait 2 hours in line. So we decided to go to a different store to buy something else, and then the lines were the same way. So then we leave that plaza and we go to a different store a few towns over, and the exact same problem. And it was at this moment that we realized that this wasn't a coincidence. People were panic shopping, and I remember feeling like this weird uneasy feeling, like even though at that point I wasn't panicked, the energy, like it was starting to get to me. Like it was very weird, very very surreal. I remember going on Discord and talking about it with people, and friends from different states were saying, hey, I work in retail and this is also happening here. So yeah, March 12th was really the day where everybody lost their marbles and they started buying, panic shopping, yeah, buying things ahead of time. So then March 13th, the next day, was really our last day of work. I remember showing up to work with an uneasy feeling of not knowing what was going to happen. And around lunchtime that day, again, March 13th, 2020, around lunchtime, they tell us that, hey, we're going to take a 2-week break. Now, here's the thing. I have friends in Korea. So I knew that a 2-week break is actually not a 2-week break. And this is live. So excuse me while I grab a lozenge. Sorry about that, guys. It happens. We're live. My throat's a little on the dry side. So yeah, we go to work, we get this call, and they tell us 2 weeks we're not gonna show up. I knew it was not gonna be 2 weeks. I even told people it ain't gonna be 2 weeks. This is gonna be at least 2 months. Even then, I was hopeful that we would return before June. But that was not the case. So then, yeah, March 14th, so 1 year ago today, or as of this recording, was the first full real day of the shutdown. It was Saturday, so it was a Sabbath. And I should probably mention, on March 13th, after leaving work, I get the phone call that all board members, church board members, need to go to church that night for an emergency meeting. I didn't go because I think it was obvious what the meeting was about. It was most likely going to be about agreeing to shut down the church. So the next day, March 14th, apparently, I believe it was the last day of a church service before shutdown, because I guess it was too late to cancel that day. But I didn't go because I was already in panic mode. And I remember being home. I got dressed up for church, but I didn't go to church. I instead sat on my room right here watching my TV, where I was watching Hope Channel, and they were doing a special. I forgot what it was called, but it was like Hope at Home or something, where it was quarantining. And so, yeah, the next few weeks were different, but I kind of feel like there's a lot of stuff that I have to talk about. So let me talk about the month of March in terms of church, and then I'll talk about other things. So in terms of church, from here on out, it was just like figuring out what we were going to do. There were a lot of phone calls for the board members, a lot of texts. Basically, we were stopped until further notice. Because I have friends in Korea that were already shut down for months, I realized that I couldn't sit around and do nothing for the youth group. I had to start working on a plan to fill in, right? And so that's actually how this whole digital ministry started, which is weird. I originally did not intend to create this, but due to the shutdown, the Instagram page where I'm live streaming this was made, and the YouTube channel where you're watching this eventually existed. If you're watching this on Facebook, the page already existed on Facebook, and that actually existed for a few years. But yeah, the Instagram page and the YouTube page came about because of that. So I pretty much had like 3 weeks to figure out how I was gonna make this work. I didn't know anything about live streaming or any of this stuff. So I was just rushing. I had like this race against time to create what I wanted to do. And I remember I had a friend helping me who's not Christian, but she was a big help because she knows a lot about media. So that was fun. So anyways, at the end of that month, I was able to do the first digital youth service, which I felt was okay. But again, this wasn't meant to be a long-term thing. It just, 1 year later, here we are. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the shutdown, and I'm going to talk about just life at home, right? Because at first, that was the plan. We don't want to go out unless we absolutely have to. So we were stuck indoors all day, and I was trying not to let the panic get to the best of me. So there were a few things that I did. One of the things I did was that I decided that I was going to keep busy. So in the hour where I normally will be working, I decided that I was going to take on a bunch of projects at home. So I would start cleaning my room and fixing shirts and pants that, they needed stitching. Things like that. So it was just stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. I cleaned and I scrubbed everything. And then I started watching Netflix, and I started gaming. So I had a schedule, by the way. It wasn't just me wasting all day. So there was a specific hour-to-hour schedule, and I did this because I knew that I didn't want to lose my marbles. Eventually, of course, we had to go out to buy stuff, and that was weird because if you guys remember, there was no toilet paper, and that was a big deal, right? Now, don't worry, I'm gonna keep this PG, but we all need toilet paper. I think that goes without saying. We all have a need of it. It exists. And luckily, we typically buy toilet paper in advance. But when the news keeps talking about how there's no toilet paper, it starts giving a panic, and so we start wondering, are we gonna have enough toilet paper to last us? So because some stores were allowing seniors to go in and shop early, and my mother's a senior, that's what we were doing. We were going there. Now, the idea was that I would go in there to help my mother carry. Some stores would allow me to go with her. Some stores told me I had to wait by the exit. So it was very fun. We had to wake up early before the sun was up just to get to a store and see if they had toilet paper or certain things that we needed. We all wore our masks at first. We were doing the papery ones and, the construction ones. It was weird. It was a very surreal thing at first. And yeah, the more we went forward, the more I got used to the mask and the more I warmed up to the idea of buying cloth masks that look fashionable and things like that. Or not fashionable, but that match what I'm wearing. And I know masks became a very controversial subject, depending on which political side you're on. Which, whatever. I'm not going to talk about politics. That's not the point of this video. But yeah, these were things that happened. Another thing that I did to keep busy where I was trying a new recipe. You see, in addition of buying food, we also would hit up food pantries and collect hoard cans, basically, and everything that we could. And then eventually we had so much that we were just like, we should probably eat some of it. So I remember having all these like different recipes that I would find online, like how to make a cake out of cornflakes, how to make a pie out of fruit mix, the fruit cocktail mix. What else did I make that was weird? I don't remember stuff off my tongue. But there was a lot of interesting and weird recipes that, I tried out. There was I forgot what it was. I made a shepherd's pie out of the instant mashed potato. So, it was, I feel it was interesting. I felt like Iron Chef, it's like, the secret ingredient, the reveal is whatever they gave us in the little food pantry thing. A lot of split peas, a lot of lentils, a lot of rice, a lot of peanut butter. So, and that's interesting because, so you guys know, about 2 years ago, I went on a diet, healthier diet, a vegan diet. And I lost a lot of weight, yet because of all of these donations weren't exactly the healthiest ones, I started gaining weight during quarantine. But not because I was eating more or exercising less. It's just the food I was eating was not the healthiest. What's meant for survival. But that happened. And overall, I feel I'm blessed because I remember watching the news. Some areas, the lines for the food pantries were miles long, and there were like all these cars and families trying to get it. So all things considered, I am grateful. But yeah, that happened. What else? What is it? Man, staying busy, recipes, exercise, guest presentation. All right, so I'm gonna talk about that one. So another cool thing about quarantine is, like I said, I brought the ministry online, and at first I didn't know what I was doing. In many ways, I still don't know what I'm doing. But the more I did it, the more I would learn. And eventually people started noticing me. And in the past year during quarantine, I was invited as a guest speaker 4 times. Which is amazing because prior to that, in all of my life, I had only been asked to do something twice. And I mean that from like another church. Once there was this youth week and they asked me to talk one day because they were going to have a different presenter each day. And I was asked to go. And I'm not exaggerating when I say, besides myself, there were only 4 others at that church, and they were all running the event. So I had a message for nobody, because nobody was there to hear it, except for the 4 people running the show. And the second time I remember being asked to do something, I was asked to do a very small part. It wasn't a message. But yeah, now in quarantine, I was being asked, and 4 times I was asked to do stuff, and I was also asked to join some other ministries as like, I'm not leading the ministry, I'm just helping out in every little way I can. And that was interesting because while most churches shut down and people were unsure of what they can do for the Lord, on my end, things opened up, and I feel like that's important. Every situation can be used and good for the Lord. So yeah, so I've been busy, not as busy as I should be, but I've been busy. Another thing I wanted to talk about. Well, I guess it doesn't make sense for me to talk about it. Give me one quick second, guys. We're live. So one thing that I tend to do every year is I go to conventions and I collect pins, and I'm not gonna take them out of the bag, but as you can see, I got lanyards and they all got pins, different pins. Every year I would get a bunch of them, and I really enjoy doing that. So yeah, last year, if it wasn't for PAX East, I would have gotten no pins, because really I that was the only place I went to. And I know that's a frivolous thing, right? But now it's been a year that I haven't obtained any pins. I'm getting like the pins withdrawals. I need pins. Send me your pin, guys. No, I'm kidding. Don't send them. But yeah, am I gonna get any 2021 pins? I don't know. And again, I know that seems small, but hey, it's those little things, right? For me, that is normalcy. Just going places and collecting pins. And that brings me to the next point: traveling. There really hasn't been much traveling this year, at least not on my end. I usually went places, not very far, but I went places. I visited my family in Pennsylvania, and this year, no, it's weird. It really is, because I've been stuck. Well, not stuck, but I've been mainly staying in my region as per the CDC recommendations. Because I don't want to risk being exposed and exposing others to, the state of the world. And it's unfortunate. It really is. But that's where we're living. Again, I'm not going to talk about politics, but it's hard to talk about the pandemic without mentioning the 2020 election, which, yeah, that happened. It was a very long process, and I'm not questioning it. But yeah, that happened. It's always annoying because you get all these political ads, and wherever you go on social media, it's like trying to get you to register. And I don't know. I kind of feel that I can handle staying at home, and I can handle those cycles, but at the same time, it was just annoying. It's like everybody's stuck at home, hearing the same talking points over and over. And yeah, that happened. But I don't know. It gave people a reason to get out of the house. A lot of people were out there claiming. I don't want to judge them, but they were not staying at home because they were rallying for different causes and different belief systems. And you wonder if that somehow helps with the spread, or if it makes things worse. I don't know. But it is something that happens. And so on March 13th, I left work. They told us 2 weeks and we would come back, and it ended up being 6 months before we came back. So yeah, that was a long way. And then when we came back, it wasn't really the same job I left. They did such a great job of keeping everyone separate and timing schedules so that there would be very little contact, that it looked like the building was a ghost town. And there were technically people there. It's just most of us didn't see each other. And to this day, I still know that there's a lot of people in that building that I haven't seen since last year. And they're there. They're physically there. But we don't see each other very often. And so that's unfortunate. But the past year hasn't really been that bad. I do believe there has been a lot of progress. Last year, around the same time, numbers were going up, and we didn't really have a plan in place. And this year, there's already a plan, and numbers are going down. And And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Even though 1 year later we're still here and it's taking its toll on us. You know, we are burning out. We're tired. We're exhausted. It does seem like we are in the last leg of all of this. And it definitely is gonna make a great story someday when we tell, the future generations. We survived it. We stayed at home and we watched more Netflix than humanly possible. And Disney Plus came around the same time. And then Paramount Plus got arrived, but late, but it arrived. And we all do what we gotta do. I remember Tiger King being a big deal. I avoided watching Tiger King for many months, but I eventually gave in and I watched it. It was, an interesting documentary to say the least. What else has been a hit? I don't even know. WandaVision came out. I watched that, but that's more recently. And yeah, so from washing hands to wearing masks to constant political ads to watching stuff on Netflix to gaming. Oh right, gaming. How could I forget gaming? Animal Crossing was the thing that sort of took over, and then Fall Guys, and then Among Us, which I swear I can't handle Among Us anymore. I never played it, but everybody keeps talking about it. There's so many references. It's like I don't even know. But it is what it is, and yeah, the life keeps moving in weird and different ways, but life keeps moving. And here we are. 1 year later. We made it. Now, we didn't all make it. Unfortunately, many people passed away. And I know a couple. They didn't make it to the other side. But at least most of the people I knew were safe in the Lord, and we have the hope of seeing them again someday. But yeah, so this was the video I wanted to put up, the 1 year anniversary. How much longer of this do we got? I don't know. I think we're in the last leg. What do I know? I'm not a prophet. But yeah, so if you guys want to go ahead and share your experiences during the past 365 days, go ahead and leave them in the comments. It's appreciated, because it really was a weird year, but it's a weird year that we made it. I sometimes feel like the Israelites of wandering 40 years in the desert, and then they finally crossed the Jordan, and Promised Land is ahead of them. I kind of feel like that's where we are right now. It's like we're getting there. We're close. How much closer? I don't know, but we're getting there. So yeah, let me know how your past year has been, and with that said, God bless you all, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.